Hello, I'm going to talk now about some freely available courses from the Defense Language Institute, part of the Department of Defense in the United States. These were made in the 60s and 70s for military officers and other members of the military who were going to be sent behind the Iron Curtain to Czechoslovakia. And they're now freely available because they're in the public domain. They were paid for by the taxpayer, and you can download them completely legally. They were although they're hard to find, they were actually posted onto the internet by a very kind member of the language forum, howtolearnanylanguage.com. He has the amusing name Fat Tony, and he's posted for many, many languages. And Czech, I was delighted to find, with it being such a rare course. So the course, of course, is aimed towards the military. But the way they structured the course is it's in many different books, and only some of the books are military focused. There's one book talking about military matters, which talks about airplanes and tanks, and there's another book with geographical issues, which again has a military slant to it. But the majority of the course actually doesn't have much military content at all. It's just a very useful course for anybody learning Czech. And it's very comprehensive. It has thousands of pages of material in PDF as well from the original printed ones. And it has supporting audio, hours and hours of supporting audio. And this is wonderful stuff. So I'll give a quick overview. I've got it on my ebook reader here, but it has many sections to it, many separate books, but I threw away the ones that weren't interesting to me, the military-related stuff, and I've got left now cartoons. The course is full of cartoons. We'll see some examples. Dictation practice, which is how to pronounce the letters, and then a couple of sections on grammar. I didn't actually think the grammar books are any good, so I should probably throw those away. Lessons, that's the meat of the course, which you're going to get to. Listening comprehension, how to listen to authentic materials. Pattern drills, which we're also going to talk about, and then a verb list, which is a miniature dictionary of verbs. And that's okay. But the real meat of it is the pattern drills and the lessons. You can perhaps ignore the rest of it, but don't ignore these. Now, and then, and there's the Czech Improve course, which is a follow-on course to this, which is also available for download, and I have it on here. Gets away from lessons and more is focused on authentic materials, newspaper clippings and audio extracts from the radio and so on, getting used to real life. So let's move on first to, and I recommend that if you're interested in a bit more advanced stuff. So let's look first at perhaps the slightly most boring bit of this, but I still think it's very beneficial. Pattern drills. Now this is a 306-page book with supporting audio, and it's, well, I took a month off work. Well, I retired actually, so during the first month of my retirement, I actually walked around, the weather was beautiful, and listened to the audio for this, and at night I would come back and read the text. And I found it a little bit boring, but it was actually very beneficial. And it's 306 pages of things like this. There's a cue, which is an adjective and a noun, then a sentence using them as a question, and then a response, again using them. In here it was meant to be done with two students working in a pair, but if you're on your own, of course, you just play both parts. So in this random example here, the cue is Bílý strop, which means white ceiling, and the question, Je ten strop bílý? Is the ceiling white? Ano, ten strop je bílý. Yes, the ceiling is white. So not exactly the most exciting. It gets more advanced as it goes on. Špinavá stěna is the next one. Dirty wall. So you meant to then say, Je ta stěna špinavá? So je ta stěna špinavá? Ano, ta stěna je špinavá. Next one is nová studentka. Nová studentka. Je ta studentka nová? Ano, ta studentka je nová. The student is new. Čisté okno. So clean window. Je to okno čisté? Is the window clean? Ano to okno je čisté. Yes, the window is clean, and so on and so on and so on. And you can read through this, and you can listen to the audio. When you follow along the audio, it prompts you, and you slot the answers in, and so on. And as I said, not exactly exciting, but the drills work. But the most interesting part of the course, for me, is the actual lessons. And there are 8 volumes to this, including the introduction volume. Here's an example of the cover for one of those volumes, very impressive. And this one is for lessons 111 to 130. It's volume 6 from the Department of Defense Language Institute. And each one is around 250 pages. So for 8 volumes, that makes 2,000 pages of lessons. Months or even years of learning in here. And here's lesson 131, the first lesson in volume 7. And as I said a little earlier, they like cartoons. So here's some cartoons. It seems, what is it? A man in a shop that sells shoes. There's a man in the background looking through jackets. Aha, somebody here seems to be being measured up for a suit. Somebody holding an umbrella. Anyway, it's obviously telling a story. Not sure quite what the story is yet. But each lesson has these cartoons, and then later on, actually in the following page, it tells you a little story about those cartoons. So you can look at the cartoon, understand the context, and read the associated text. So, yes, lesson 131, cartoon 30. This is, just have a look at it. So if you look here, these 2 paragraphs here at the top relate to that first one, which was a picture of a man going into a shop, if you remember. And it says, Zdeněk Vacek, that's the man's name, přišel do obchodního domu, so came to the department store. Asi tam nechá moc peněz. Maybe there he will leave a lot of money. To se má na sobě, so hadry se zaplatami. That which he has on himself, what he's wearing, are rags with patches. Yeah, patches. So he's going to maybe leave a lot of money there because he's wearing rags covered with patches. And it goes on like that. Now, nothing military about that. Perfectly good. And there is, importantly, audio for this. Let me try to find it. Dialogues for lesson 131. So it should be the same as this.
Czech Basic Course, Volume 7, Lesson number 131. Zdeněk si doplňuje garderobu.
Yep, that's the one. So.
Zdeněk Vacek přišel do obchodního domu. Asi tam nechá moc peněz. To, co má na sobě, jsou hadry se záplatami. Vpředu jsou vystaveny nejrůznější druhy bod.
So, that was the audio. Now, there's lots of audio. It's a fantastic course for that. Audio is essential. I always say people should listen more than they read. And this course really allows you to do that. As you heard, though, it's not exactly the best quality audio. It's a bit fuzzy, a bit staticky. And that's because it did come from, originally, these reeled magnetic tapes. It's from the 60s and 70s, remember. It's the best you can get from the period. And although it's slightly a problem, I actually began to like it when I was listening to this, because real life isn't perfect. Real life doesn't have people saying, and then he went into the shop and he bought a coat. That's not how people talk in real life. They say, then he went into the shop and he bought a coat. And you've got to get used to this sort of fuzzy, not perfectly enunciated language. And I think that course can actually, with its fuzzy, crackly voice, can get your ears really listening very attentively. And I think it actually proved, at least for me, to be quite good. Anyway, that's it. It's the Defense Language Institute Basic Czech course and the follow-on Czech Improve course with all the supporting audio. Highly recommended, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Thank you. Bye-bye.